Welcome to our very first set of video notes. Go ahead and make sure you have paper and pencil and that you're ready to go. And at the top of your page, title it 1-1 Slope Intercept Form. Write your name in that top right hand corner and today's date. And remember, you can pause, rewind, and rewatch this at any time. So if I ever go too fast, or if you need more time to write something down, just pause it and then hit play when you're ready. So we have two learning targets today for our slope intercept form. The first one is that I can graph slope intercept form, and our second one is I can write slope intercept form from different equations. And hopefully slope intercept forms jog in your memory, and we'll get started. So go ahead and write down our very first vocab. So slope intercept form. And slope intercept form is one way to write a linear equation. So slope intercept form is one way to write a linear equation. If you notice, the first four letters of linear says line. So that's the very first thing, is that we're going to start graphing lines. Now, our slope intercept form formula is, let me get rid of that box on, there we go. Our slope intercept form formula is y equals mx plus b. And two of the most important parts are our m, and m is slope. And slope for us is going to be rise over run. Now there's four different types of slope. There's positive, negative, slope of 0, and undefined slope. So the two we're going to focus on today is positive slope. So positive slope means they're both positive. So up on a coordinate plane is positive and right on a coordinate plane is positive. Now if for some reason you can't go up and right, the opposite of up is down, and the opposite of right is left, because if you think about it, down is negative, left is negative, and two negatives make a positive. So that's why that works. The other type of slope that we're going to look at today is negative. So negative slopes we're going to go down and right. So always run right if we can help it. And if for some reason you can't go down and right, the opposite of down is up. And the opposite of, come on, it moved on me. There we go. The opposite of right is left. Because if you think about their opposites, down is negative, but right is positive. So different signs. Same way. Up is positive, left is negative. So different signs. So just little ways to help you remember which ways the slopes go. And our second most important part is our B. And B is the y-intercept. Which is the point on the y-axis. So you have your x-axis on your coordinate plane that runs horizontally. Then you have your y-axis which runs vertically. So if it's your y-intercept, it's right there. So B's always going to be up or down first. And because it doesn't go left or right at all, it always just goes up or down on that y-axis. It's written as an ordered pair. So we say B equals 0 because the x value always comes first and we don't go left or right at all. And then B is whatever number B is for our y value. Now let's see how to graph slope intercept form. So very first thing we got to do is get equation into slope intercept form. And one way to say that is get equation solve for y. Because if you notice in slope intercept form, y is by itself. So y equals mx plus b. Y is the variable we're going to solve for. Y is the variable we're going to isolate. Step 2, we're going to list m, which is our slope, which is rise over run, and B, which is our y-intercept. And we always write it like an ordered pair, 0, and then whatever B is. And now real quick, let's slide that back up there. Step 3, once we have our M, we have our B. We begin with B. I like the fact it rhymes. Begin with B. And remember, oh, I wrote a B instead of an H. So begin with B. That we said it's a point on the y-axis. So some people say plot the point first. That also works. So point on y-axis, which means we always go up or down first, never left or right. And then we're going to use our slope, so use M from that point. So from that point of B. So it's whatever 0 and then B. All right, our very last bit is we're going to have to remember to make a long line with arrows in each end. Because as we write this out, remember lines are continuous. They go on and on forever, which is, oh, started talking, so I messed up there. So each end. They go on and on forever, so that's why we need the arrows. And remember the M's also our rate of change. So once we start using Kim, we can make as many points as we need to. So let's dive right into the example 1. So put EX, so we know it's the example portion, and 1. We're given y equals -2/3 x plus 4. Okay, so now we want to make sure it's solved for y. So y is by itself. We're good. And also it looks like our slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So now we just find our m and our b. So m is always the guy in front of the x. So it's going to be a -2/3. And then our b is always that guy out there by himself. So b, and remember always write like a point. So it's going to be 0 and then b is 4. And now off to step 3 where we begin with B. So make your coordinate plane. Label your axis. X runs horizontally. Y runs vertically. And remember, B is your point on your y-axis. So we go to 0, which is the origin, then up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now from here, we're going to use our slope. So because the 2 is negative, that's going to send us down and right. So down and right. So from this point right here on our y-axis, our B, we're going to go down 2, 1, 2, and then right 3. 1, 2, 3. Remember, we said here's the rate of change, so it keeps going. So we go down 2, 1, 2, and then right 3. 1, 2, 3. If you want to, once you see that pattern, you can come up here to your first point and go up 2, 1, 2, and then left 3. 1, 2, 3. And now make a long line with arrows on each end. And we're good. That is our very first example. So we're all set. Get rid of the screen. And let's see our second example. So example 2. We have y equals x minus 2. Same first step. Make sure y is solved for. Y is alone. And it is. It looks like our slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So we're all good. And now we just find our m. Now we said m is always the guys in front of the x. So if you notice, there's nobody there in front of your x. But since we do have an x, we say that's a 1x. So our slope is 1. And we have to have it rise over run. So we have to say 1 is over 1. All whole numbers, all integers can be placed over 1. And then our b will be -2. So b equals, well, remember, always write like a point. So 0 and then -2. Okay. Now make your coordinate plane, label your x-axis, your y-axis, and we begin with B. So begin on your y-intercept. So begin with your y-intercept. So go to 0, then -2, since it's down 2, 1, 2. Now our slope, so from this point, we're going to use our slope that tells us to go up 1 because he's positive, and right 1. So up 1, right 1, up 1, right 1. Up 1, right 1. You can go back to the original if you want to. Go down 1, left 1, because down and left, it makes 2 negatives, and 2 negatives make a positive, so we're good. Make a nice long line with arrows on each end, and we're good. Now we're good for example 3. Oh, get my marker back here. 3. We have 5x minus 3y equals negative 9. Now we're going to have to check and make sure we have solved for y. So if you notice, y is not by himself anymore on this left side. And remember, we want it to look like slope-intercept form. So first things first, we got to kind of match it up and say, okay, y is already where he wants to be, and that negative 3 is attached to him. So always use that sign in front. Now, who do we need to get rid of? And that goes back to our 5x out here. The x actually needs to be right here beside the equal sign on the right side. So we're going to transpose our 5x over, which means we're going to keep our negative 3y where he is, equals. Our positive 5x gets transposed to the right side to become a negative 5x, and we drop down our minus 9. At this step, y is still not by itself, that negative 3 side by side with it, so that means they're being multiplied. The opposite of multiplication is division, so we're going to divide it right there by negative 3. Negative 3's cancel, y equals 2 negatives makes that a positive 5/3 x. A negative 9 divided by negative 3 makes a positive 3, so always use that symbol in front. And now we're good. We know that our m is beside the x, and that's going to be our 5/3, so m is a positive 5/3. And our b is always the guy there by himself, so b is going to be 3, so 0, 3. Go ahead and make your coordinate plane. Got your, a star in it, but we need to say that's your x-axis, that's your y-axis, and now we're going to begin with b. This guy gets the star. So b sends us to 0, then up 3, 1, 2, 3. And from there we use our slope, so because it's positive 5, we go up 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 3, 1, 2, 3 to the right. Because it's positive, we go up and right. But if you notice, I can't go up and right anymore. So I'm going to have to go back down to my original point and go down 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and left 3, 1, 2, 3, because down is negative and left is negative, and 2 negatives makes a positive. Make a long line, arrows on each end. Perfect. And then we got one last example for us. So example 4. We have x plus 4y equals negative 8. And now, first thing, make sure y is solved for. So we got to solve for y this time and get it in slope-intercept form. Which means y is already where he is, so I'm just going to drop him down. 4y equals, which means we're going to transpose our positive x to the right side and make him a negative x and drop down our minus 8. Now, to solve for y, we said they're side by side. That means we got to divide. So we divide over here by 4. 4's cancel, and we get y equals. We have to remember that negative x means it's a negative 1x, so it's going to become a negative 1/4 x. And then negative 8 divided by 4 is negative 2, and we're set. Our m is going to be a negative 1/4 because it's the guy beside the x. And our b is going to be negative 2, so b equals negative 2. Oh, 0, negative 2. That was my fault. Got in a hurry there. b equals 0, negative 2. And now, make your x-axis, make your y-axis, and begin with b. So 0, negative 2 sends us to the origin, and then down 2. And now our slope is negative 1, so that's going to send us down 1 and right 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can go down 1, and then right 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to, you can go back to the original one and go up 1, and then over 4 to the left. So up 1, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Once again, make a nice long line, arrows on each end. And that's a real quick review of how to graph linear equations. Please go ahead and continue on to your assignment. It has the exact same steps as our examples. So first thing, make sure it's in slope-intercept form. Solve it for y. Step 2, list your m and your b. And then step 3, begin with b, and then use your slope from your y-intercept. And then lastly, make a nice long line with arrows on each end. Using graph paper would help, and also using a straight edge would make it much more beautiful. So I thank you very much. If you need any help, let me know. Bye.